Hello everyone, I'm Beastly Eel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of The Penguin. So if you have a problem with spoilers, please make sure to pause the video and watch it, or don't watch the video at all until you see it. If you don't care about spoilers or have already seen the show, well, let's get right into it. So the episode starts, and I'm not going to lie to you, was a little confusing to begin with because I wasn't aware that this was a flashback. So it's about Vic and what had happened around the time right before the Riddler blew up Gotham. So we get to see his family, his parents, and kind of him, him and his girlfriend just trying to make it work in Gotham, right? They're trying to stay away from drugs and crime to begin with because he wants to have a better life. Really what it comes down to, right? So he and his girlfriend are there, and that's when he sees the explosions go off and see the water rush towards where he was living and wash it away, killing everyone in his family. Very sad. And that's how the episode starts. So very sad. So then we get back to the present day, and Penguin and Sophia are working together in the most bizarre partnership we will ever see ever. Um, we have Sophia coming to the house to meet with Penguin. Penguin is going to have Vic drive them around to where Sophia wants to go, to show him the shipment of what it is that she and Alberto were going to do together to kind of build up the city, build up their drug ring. So she gets over there. Penguin gets a phone call from, who does he get a phone call from that he doesn't want Sophia to hear? I cannot remember now. I think it was, no, it wasn't the Maronis. I can't remember now. But anyway, he didn't want her to hear. So she comes in. Vic is very nervous and everything else, and she explains to him that uh, um, Penguin was her driver first, and stating how, but I bet you he never told you about that. And Vic was like, no. She goes, yeah, I didn't think so. So Penguin comes out. She states that they're leaving. Vic goes to, you know, go with them, and she goes, no, no, no. It's just the two of us. You're gonna drive for me, like in the old days. So Penguin drives the two of them over to her shipment area. That's when he goes in there and sees mushrooms. And he's like, really, mushrooms? He goes, are you kidding me? He's like, everyone in Gotham's dorm room is growing mushrooms. What is this going to revolutionize anything? And the guy's like, well, this, needs to be temperature controlled and everything else, and that any screw up could damage the whole hive. And Penguin's just not convinced that this is a good idea. And that's when Sophia's like, no. She basically explains that this was her idea, and Alberto was kind of along for the ride, mostly due to the fact that these mushrooms were used on her when she was in Arkham. It was a psychedelic used to calm inmates down while they were in Arkham. Excuse me. They were the spores growing on specific types of mushrooms, and the spores were this bright red, crimson red, even more like blood red. Let's be honest. Um, Color, and they only needed a small amount to get people high and feeling euphoric. So Penguin's like, fine, we're gonna have to see if we can get a buyer and everything else. And she's kind of like, well, who are you thinking of? And he's like, the Triads. And she automatically explains, like, that's a problem. Like, my family has a history with the Triads. And he's like, well, we'll see what we can do. It's either them or nobody. So he and Sophia go to speak to the Triads. He gets stopped by like a lieutenant, general maybe, but definitely not the big boss. So he goes there trying to talk to them, and they're like, no. However, they did state though that if you had somebody in mind to work with him, or if you had somebody in the family to kind of help this coup, then he would believe them. But if it's just the two of them, he's not going to trust either of them. So Penguin, using his logic, has Vitti, and Sophia works with Penguin's lie, to convince this guy that, Vitti's gonna call and make the call and agree with Penguin and Sophia. So they begin to have their conversation, and the guy's like, "Fine, we'll have your meeting, and if it's proven that Vidi calls and approves of this idea, then he'll actually have them talk to the big boss." Sophia's like, "All right, well, you're gonna have to figure this out because I'm not dealing with it." Um, and that's when Penguin and her, um, Penguin tells her exactly what's going on and that he's sleeping with her uncle's kid. Her uncle's wife. Sorry, I don't know why I said kid. But anyway, and he had blackmail proof of it. So he goes over to we all and during this scene too, we also find out that Penguin was the reason why Sophie. Well, it's alluded to the fact that Penguin was responsible for her going to Arkham. But anyway, we then go. They then talk to the wife of the big boss and basically state, hey, like you're gonna call him up and you're gonna have him go to the hotel. While this is going on, we actually see Vic with his girlfriend. Um, they're having a little bit of an not an outing, but kind of like a little bit of an argument because she's going to be leaving to California. And he's like, why? I thought our whole life was here. And she's like, I lost everyone in the flood. She goes, there's no point in me staying here anymore. My school's gone, everything. And I'm not sitting around waiting for this place to be rebuilt. I want to get my life back in order and I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to school and I'm going getting the hell out of here, basically. And she wants him to come. So he says he will to her and he was going to talk to Penguin about it. So we then have Sophia and Vidi. Oh no, sorry, Sophia and Penguin go into the hotel room where Vidi is, and that's when they threaten him to do what they tell him to do. And Vidi calls him Penguin, very derogatory, and Penguin slams Vidi's phone down his throat, making him gag on it, and tells him, "You're gonna do what I tell you to do. You're gonna like it." So Vinny calls, makes the call, and it states that he agrees with whatever they were planning on it to begin with. Sophia and Penguin then have a meeting with the big boss. While that meeting is happening, they're having a demonstration of what the drug can do. So they have Vic and all the um, escorts work together to sell that drug, and they begin to make a ton of money. During this, also, we have Vic having PTSD with some of the music and everything else, but we have that going on. Plus, everyone's loving the drug. And while they're having the big talk with the boss doesn't really want to listen to either of them, although he's leaning more towards Penguin than he does Sophia. And Sophia's finally like, fine, if you don't want this, you see how successful this is. We're wasting our time. So she leaves. Penguin stays and talks with him. He also names the drug Desire. No, Bliss. Sorry, Bliss. And with him talking to them and everything else, he agrees. They agree to the deal. Right before that, there was a confrontation between Penguin and Vic, where he finds out that Vic was going to leave, and he wasn't even going to tell him. And Vic's like, "Well, I was wanted to tell you, but I was kind of scared." And he's like, "You're not a prisoner. Like, if you want to leave, go. But I know you want better than this. Better than your life was before. I can see that in you." So Vic leaves during this time. He goes to the train station to go with his girlfriend. He doesn't go. He actually drives back. He goes against what his wishes were to begin with, in the sense of going with her, and drives back. While that's going on, we have Penguin telling Sophia everything that's going on. Basically, that the drug is going to be sold and they're going to be rich. So during this, they have the Maronis come and ambush the two of them. So they all pull out their guns at both Sophia and Penguin. That's when Vic comes in, rams Penguin's car into them, and Penguin gets super excited, gets in the car, and tells him to go. He's like, "Well, what about Sophia?" And Penguin's like, "I don't care, go." During the backlash of everything, I do think we see Sophia running. However, we don't see her actually getting captured, but we also don't see her completely get away either. So we're gonna have the answer of what happens at the end of that episode, like what happens to Sophia. Um, but I'm also curious at what is going to be the fallout of the Maronis attacking Sophia and Penguin. We'll have to wait and see. But overall, this episode was really good. We really get to see it once again, Penguin really building himself up, but also thinking on his feet. He's a master manipulator, and we get to see that firsthand in this series. Super excited to see where this series is going to continue. Obviously, I would imagine he's got to have to talk himself out of talk himself out of Sophia trying to kill him because he just left her die. So I'm very curious on that piece. Plus, he might have to talk his way out of the Maronis as well, which is also interesting. So I'm very curious to see what happens there. But Penguin continues to talk himself out of near death experiences, so I can't wait to see what happens next. I know I've said that a million times, but let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a great night. Bye bye.